You know that moment when your stomach drops and you realize the thing you love just isn't it anymore? That was Alien Earth for a lot of us. Critics cheered, group chats rage quit, and somewhere between episode 2's promise and that finale meltdown, the scares didn't fade. They got declawed. Characters stopped thinking. Tension flatlined. And suddenly it felt less alien and more theme park sci-fi. One of the biggest complaints fans had about Alien Earth is how often the entire plot depends on characters making reckless, almost unbelievable choices. Instead of tension coming from smart people trapped in a dangerous situation, it usually came from people behaving with zero logic. Take the rescue mission. A deep space research ship carrying alien specimens crash lands on Earth, the kind of scenario where you'd expect highly trained military units, armored transports, and airtight protocols. Instead, the show sends in Wendy and her friends. These are teenagers in a synthetic body, with no combat training, no real preparation, and absolutely no idea how to handle something as dangerous as a xenomorph. Fans pointed out how absurd this was. Why would a billion-dollar corporation gamble its future by handing such a critical job to kids who barely understand what they're up against? The answer is simple. The script needed the story to move forward, so logic was tossed aside. And then there's the handling of the alien specimens themselves. Once these creatures are retrieved, you'd think the priority would be maximum security. Containment labs, heavy guard, remote failsafes, the kind of things Weyland-Yutani would have had in place decades earlier. But in Alien Earth, dangerous alien organisms are left unguarded, in flimsy facilities, with no failsafe measures at all. The very monsters that once stalked crews in the shadows are treated almost like lab pets. These decisions don't build suspense, they break it. Instead of gripping their seats, fans were left shaking their heads, and when an audience stops believing in the intelligence of the characters, they stop fearing for their survival. At that point, some fans admitted they were actually rooting for the xenomorphs, just to put everyone out of their misery. Every major plot twist seemed to happen only because someone acted in the most reckless, illogical way possible. That's when people stopped taking Alien Earth seriously. Instead of a suspenseful sci-fi thriller, it felt like a chain of accidents caused by characters with no common sense. The tension wasn't earned, it was manufactured. Fans even joked that the showrunners handed every character the idiot ball and passed it around just to keep the disaster rolling. And once the audience realizes the danger isn't coming from the alien itself, but from the writers forcing characters to be stupid, the fear disappears. You're no longer on the edge of your seat. You're rolling your eyes, waiting for the next blunder. That shift turned what could have been genuine suspense into unintentional comedy. And it shattered the show's credibility for a huge chunk of viewers.
No, I think they picked me. They're talking to me.
If the writing felt careless, the characters were the final nail in the coffin. The one fans point to the most is Wendy, who was written less like a person and more like a walking plot device. From the start, she's presented as almost invincible. Instead of struggling, failing, or learning, she breezes through impossible situations as if the universe itself is bending to her will. At one point, she even manages to connect with a xenomorph, a creature designed to embody pure nightmare, and somehow turn it into her protector. For many fans, that was the moment the show crossed into absurdity. When your protagonist is effectively untouchable, the stakes collapse. There's no fear she might lose, no tension about what might happen next, because the outcome always feels guaranteed. And it isn't just Wendy. The supporting cast suffers from the same shallow writing. Characters are less like individuals with motives and flaws and more like cardboard cutouts built to fill roles. Their choices rarely come from believable personality traits. They happen because the script demands it. This left fans with nobody to invest in. Instead of rooting for survivors, they felt like they were watching stereotypes stumble around until the next predictable twist. That's why so many reviews describe the cast as soulless or empty. Without vulnerability, without growth, and without real humanity, the story loses its anchor. And when the characters don't feel real, neither does the danger surrounding them. But nothing summed up the disappointment of Alien Earth more than what it did to the xenomorph itself. For over 40 years, this creature has been cinema's ultimate predator, a nightmare of teeth, claws, and perfect evolutionary design. In Alien Earth, though, the unthinkable happens. The monster that once stalked the shadows of the Nostromo is reduced to a kind of sidekick. Instead of an unstoppable killing machine, the xenomorph becomes a protector for Wendy. At points, it feels less like a predator and more like a guard loyal to a character it should never be capable of understanding. Fans pointed to this as the exact moment the show abandoned what made the franchise terrifying. The xenomorph isn't supposed to be reasoned with. It isn't supposed to choose sides. Its entire horror comes from the fact that it sees every other lifeform as either a host or a threat. By softening that, the show stripped away the alien's very DNA. And if that wasn't bad enough, Alien Earth made another fatal mistake, showing the xenomorph in broad daylight, fully exposed. In the original films, the monster worked because we only saw glimpses, a claw here, a silhouette there, always shrouded in darkness, always just out of sight. Our imaginations did half the work. Here, under bright, clear lighting, the fear evaporates. For many fans, that was the death blow. Not only was the alien defanged, it was demystified. And when your franchise's most iconic monster loses its terror, what's left to hold the audience?
What really stung about Alien Earth is that it didn't start as a disaster. In fact, the first couple of episodes had fans cautiously optimistic. The premise was intriguing, the production design looked expensive, and there was a sense that maybe, just maybe, this series could do something bold with the Alien universe. Viewers were willing to forgive a few shaky moments because the setup hinted at bigger payoffs down the line. That optimism carried the show through its early weeks. And then came episode 5, the much-hyped flashback to the doomed spaceship. For one brief moment, fans felt the old alien DNA spark back to life. Dark corridors, heavy atmosphere, a crew isolated in deep space. It was the closest the show came to channeling Ridley Scott's original horror. Many even called it the standout of the season. But whatever goodwill episode 5 built, evaporated by the finale. Instead of a tense, satisfying conclusion, fans got an episode that felt rushed, unresolved, and almost careless. Major plot threads were left hanging, character arcs fizzled out, and the big climax didn't land. What should have been the payoff for all the season's build-up came across more like a setup for another season. One many fans now had no interest in watching. A show that looked like it could reinvent the franchise, but instead left fans feeling like the Alien legacy had been gutted. But now I want to hear from you. Did Alien Earth ruin the Alien name for good? Or do you think the series can still be saved? Drop your thoughts down below. I'll be reading through them. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to see more, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. It helps the channel grow and it means you won't miss the next one. Thanks for watching. Until next time.